Why do we have low productivity levels in Canada? Why do we have economic stagnation? A lot of economists and a lot of financial gurus will come up with different reasons, and they're all legitimate reasons, but there's, I would say, one or two main reasons why we have this economic situation in Canada. In my previous videos, I've talked about this. The reason we have this is the overregulation of the free market. Why we have such high prices of housing in Canada, it's basically because we have monopoly in Canada, and that monopoly is encouraged by the government. And also we have extreme levels of red tape and regulations when it comes to building a house. So all this adds up to cost. I'll give you an example. If you build a house in Vancouver or Toronto, you're gonna pay 40% tax in the price of the house price. So if you pay $1 million, around $400,000 pretty much are going to taxes. That's why your house prices are high the way they are. The same issue was back in the colonial times when the people in colonies, English colonies, the freer they were, the more productive they used to be. So let's give an example of slave colonies of sugar in the West Indies, on the islands of West Indies, and in those sugar colonies that it was basically slavery that was running the sugar colonies. Those slaved sugar colonies were less productive, a lot less productive than the American plantations, because American plantations at a point were freer. They were ran on free labor. So Americans were allowed to have more freedom from the British, and that's what that's the reason why North America, or the American plantation, was more profitable. It was one of the most profitable colony of the British. Now the East Indies were not as profitable because they didn't enjoy that much economic or political freedom. This is exactly what's happening now. Is we're seeing less and less economic freedom which is having its effect on productivity. People are realizing that they are being enslaved, and due to this realization, a lot of people and their productivity level and their effort level is going down. And again, if we look historically, the freer the colonies were of English Empire, the more they produced, the more productive they were. The less freedom they enjoyed, the less productive they were. That's why a lot of people, such as Adam Smith and many, many other people in the British Empire and English colonies, understood the fact that in order to increase productivity, they need to end slavery. They need to give the slaves more freedom. They need to allow the slaves to own what they have, their land, their produce, and the profit. And then they would just tax that profit instead of slaving them and just giving 10% of the produce or less that they ended up getting out of X amount of farmland. Now they would give the whole land to that slave, tell him he's free, and then they would make sure he would produce more, because now that slave was free. He had vested interest in that land, so he would naturally produce more. He would be inclined to produce more, and the government would end up collecting more in taxes. Low productivity in Canada is basically being caused by this realization of people that are having now that their freedoms um, are being limited. We're having this realization in mass amount, in a massive level, and due to this realization that we're less free now, that we are overburdened by an authoritarian style rule, and the regulations have become so overburdening, and their effect is so insidious, and the nefarious rules and regulations every day are proving every single productive Canadian that they don't have control over their life, liberty, and property, basically, and also their profit that they work for the whole year, which most of it is being taken unfairly by the government. This is the realization that has pushed a lot of people to produce less, and now we have low level of economic productivity in Canada. The government thinks that they can just replace one productive Canadian with a newcomer immigrant. Now, I am gonna say that's not gonna happen overnight. It's a very difficult process to replace a person and make them into a productive person in such a system such as Canada. Uh, there's too many things that you need to know to become to a level of a productive, skilled tradesman. It takes years for this process to happen and a newcomer to become a productive member of this system. So that's why this immigration, just throwing people into this country is not going to fix it. Throwing people into this country is only going to make things worse for everybody else. The only solution out of this is less rules, less bureaucracy, less government, more economic freedom, more political freedom, and more free market. That's the only solution, because this is what's going to increase productivity. This is what's going to increase entrepreneurship and bring capital and actual productive people into Canada. And out of this, everybody will benefit. Do yourself a favor. Go buy some gold, some ETFs. I'm not a financial advisor, but if you're trying to gain some economic freedom, if you're trying to get out of feudal slavery, go buy some of these assets. Don't buy a new phone, don't buy a new car, don't waste your money on some garbage consumer trivial stuff. go buy some real meaningful stuff that's gonna be worth something in 10 years, and it's gonna make you into a free person, into a free man. That's what I want to tell a lot of the viewers that will watch my channel, because I do want to help people out.